Since Wednesday, August the 13th, the halls of Canadian Mennonite University have been alive with the sounds of strings as musicians of all ages and skill levels take part in the Rosamunde Summer String Academy. Participants are learning from some of the country's most distinguished string instructors, honing their craft through masterclasses, private lessons, and ensemble work. One of the distinguished guest artists for this year's Academy and Festival is the celebrated Canadian violinist Erika Raum. Raum began performing professionally at the age of 12 and has earned international acclaim, including a first prize at the 1992 Joseph Szigeti International Violin Competition in Budapest, along with the award for Best Interpretation of a Mozart Concerto. Her performances have taken her across Europe, from Hungary and Portugal to Sweden, Austria, Germany, England, Italy, and France, and she has appeared with esteemed ensembles such as the Budapest Radio Orchestra, the Austro-Hungarian Orchestra, and the Franz Liszt Chamber Orchestra. In addition to teaching at the Rosamunde Academy, Raum will be performing a special concert titled Raum Squared tomorrow at 7 p.m. in CMU's Laudamus Auditorium. The program will feature works by Kelly Marie Murphy, Mendelssohn, and Raum's mother, the renowned Canadian composer Elizabeth Raum. Having Erika here in Winnipeg to teach and to perform for Winnipeg audiences is a real boom for both Rosamunde participants and Winnipeg audiences. And joining me here in the Classic 107 studio to talk about Rosamunde and her concert called Raum Squared, I am joined by the one and only Erika Raum. Hi, Erika.
Hello.
Great to have you here.
Good to be here.
So, firstly, can you talk about your friendship with Elation, who's the artistic director for Rosamunde? How long have you been friends? And can you talk about how she invited you to teach?
Well, yeah, we've been friends a long time, but before that, I was her teacher, if you can believe it. And she was a very mature student. Let's say she was a master's student, and she already knew exactly what she was doing. She didn't need a lot of input from me. She was that kind of. I don't know. She's always been focused and just super smart, and she just takes anything on. She'll do. She's. I don't know where she gets it. I don't know where she gets that kind of energy. So we knew each other initially that way, and then just over the years, I came to Rosamunde about, I think it was 8 years ago. Was the last time I was here, and then we get a chance to play together. So that's fantastic.
You've been in Winnipeg a couple of days now. How has it been so far working with the kids at Rosamunde?
It's fantastic. Yeah, it's all. You're right. It's lots of different levels, different ages, right from the very top. In fact, one of the students is a student of mine at U of T. And then there's some other University of Toronto students from other parts of the country, really advanced, right down to I think they have the adult sort of enthusiasts in the evening.
Yeah.
I haven't worked with them, but it's incredible. It's pretty ambitious, I have to say. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about the specifics? Like, I'm presuming you're teaching the core program and the pre-professional students
so
as well?
what we do is, there's a range of things as private lessons. And so, that you meet the student wherever they happen to be. They bring their repertoire and they play. And then we have what we call the technique classes. And in those cases, you try to tailor it to the level and the age group that you're working with at that time. And then we have what's called master classes, and that's when it's just basically like a public lesson. But if you're giving a master class, ideally you're talking about things that can be applied to more than just that 3 bars and more than just that student. You want to be a little more universal with it. So throughout the day we have, it's chock-a-block. It's like all morning you're running from one, venue to another, and some of it's rehearsal, some of it's teaching. It's a real jigsaw puzzle. I don't know how she did it because there's a lot of moving parts. I mean, there's the faculty, the people that she brought in that invited from outside, and then there's a ton of local, teachers and Carl Stobie, these great teachers that are here now.
Yeah.
It's a big organization.
I want to talk about your teaching strategy. I mean, you're on faculty at the Glenn Gould School. You're on faculty at the University of Toronto. Mm-hmm. Becoming a professional musician is really difficult. It doesn't matter what instrument you play.
Yeah.
Are there sort of like 3 or 4 core concepts or ideas that you always try to impart on your students before they try to make their journey out as a professional violinist?
Oh, it's a really good question. To think of it sort of distilled like that, I guess, I mean, when you're teaching somebody, especially over several years, you start to realize that they're going to take away more than. I was just talking to somebody about this today. They're not going to take away more than just either tips about the instrument, tricks of the trade, or trivia about Beethoven, or this is how you read that kind of score. They're going to take away a whole kind of a worldview. In other words, your priorities become their priorities. It's similar to if you have children. You kind of set a tone. And I think that, because things are challenging, uncertain in this business, it's although honestly, with AI, I start to think that we're the best thing going right now because it cannot replace live music.
No, you can't.
And when I sit there and I listen to a blues band, like I'm thinking, this will never not be from it's got to be from a person who's like standing 12 feet away from me. This is the greatest experience ever. But so I think that you're spending these years, fostering the individual love of music, finding yourself through the music, finding your identity through the music, being true to what you hear, and giving obviously tools to do that better as best you can. I tend not to, sort of teach the test, so to speak. The idea that I got to prepare this person for an audition. I will prepare you for to the best of my ability, as much as I know how to prepare for an audition. I'll that obviously is part of my job, but I think at the end of the day, it's sort of like the liberal arts kind of. You want to create a relationship with music and a relationship with the instrument that's healthy and that makes somebody feel fulfilled and like they've got range and they've got a future with the instrument, regardless of whether or not they go into music. And then as a practical thing, I think everybody's aware that the more versatility you have in this business nowadays, the better. And that is pulling us into other styles of music, getting familiar with whether it's improvisation or also arranging, just having a full skill set so that you're not so that you're able to be resourceful.
Yeah, I was reading an article. Apparently in Europe, they're opening up a whole academy just to how to become a studio musician.
Wow.
That's like another skill, being able to sight read immediately and get it done.
Sure, and operate the technology and arranging and just aware, understanding other instruments. Some of that you would do in an education degree, for instance. You just have to have a bigger overview of what other fields or adjacent fields would entail. But I know with my own children, I've got a couple of musicians, kids, and like just learning the software, learning how to record, learning how to mic things, learning how to
it's a
and
whole
play
thing.
in other styles.
I'm very interested in your upbringing. Your parents are both very good musicians. Your mom is a oboe player and a composer, and your dad's a trombone player.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up in a house full of wind players? And did it help that they were musicians?
Oh yeah, I mean obviously, yeah, especially because I grew up in Regina, so it's not like I grew up in a place with a big conservatory like my kids in Toronto, for instance. They're just surrounded by just acres of musicians. But so for me, it's smaller. You still have quality, but there are fewer of you. And so growing up in a family. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of interesting things about that. One is it becomes very weirdly ordinary. You don't. It's not like some sort of grand discovery. It's like it's just part of daily life, and so that's good. I mean, it normalizes it. Maybe makes you, and I think that also wind players are kind of a different breed from string players, and particularly violinists who can get pretty intense and have the weight of the world on their shoulders. And wind players, I mean, they can. Oboe players are famously neurotic.
Yeah, it's working with the reeds.
It's the reeds, that's right. Yeah, they got that to worry about. But there was a kind of, more of a pragmatic, you put in your time, you do your work, and don't worry too much about I don't even know if I'm making it sound less romantic. I mean, I am. It's sort of not romanticizing it too much and just... treating it like
life goes on.
Life goes on. Yeah, I mean, you're in awe of the musicians, of the composers. Absolutely, all that is still there, and that kind of almost cult-like devotion to Bach and Beethoven. All that is still there, but just in terms of the way that it kind of folds into your daily life, it's just part of life. You practice, you do your scales, you play a concert. Some of them are great, some of them are less great.
Yeah.
Life goes on because musicians can get pretty. They can be
up in their heads.
Yeah, exactly, and that's not an easy way to live, right?
Yeah. I spoke with elation. I emailed her and wanted to say, I want to talk to Erika. As soon as I knew you were coming, and here I'm going to fanboy out about your mom a bit. She is a wonderful composer. I actually know her through her wind music, especially her brass music.
Yep.
She wrote a violin concerto for you, and she wrote a violin sonata for you. What was it like collaborating with your mom on those projects? Yeah,
I mean, you can sort of, in the same vein as what I was talking about before, it's just practical because you're in the same household with the composer. You can just, oh my gosh, you got a party going on back there.
Yeah.
You can ask questions. I mean, it's great. So I can give you an example, like today, working with the pianist, Paul, and I made some changes to the sonata. She's totally fine with that.
Yeah.
Mind you, I don't think that's because I'm her daughter. It really isn't. I mean, it's because she respects my musicianship. It could be another musician who did the same thing, who said, you know what, this retard's not working. We're gonna move the allargando to another part of the, and she's just all about collaboration with like-minded musicians. She loves nothing more than hearing somebody come along and play it, and she's like, well, I didn't even write that. Where's that coming from? She loves it, and so for me, and she always had. I mean, I'm lucky because I've got a stage mom who just loves everything I do. I don't know if that's a stage mom in that case. She was never one to push. She knew better. She knew better right from having grown up. She'd seen what happens when you push a small child to get up on the big stage. So she never liked that. And it's just more of a kind of colleague relationship. So like, for instance, the concerto, though, I was already living in Toronto. So she sent me scores and she said, dress it up. She said, make it harder. She thought,
add double stops.
Exactly. Like, you're a violinist. You make it more flashy, And so she had this fantastic. I mean, the orchestration is brilliant in that concerto, and the structure of it is, and all the material is amazing. But it's like, okay, yeah, I could probably do something here to make this bring this to a little bit more of a peak. And so we actually even have a stack of like there's just the literal mail correspondence. I would send her stuff. And say, how about this? So from J to whatever, I'm gonna, so I would rewrite certain things, and I cannot give you an example of a single thing that she turned down. She was like, yeah, it sounds great, do it.
You're going to be playing her violin sonata tomorrow night. Can you talk about that piece? And like I said, I know her writing for brass, and I'm just thinking of her horn concerto inspired by Robin Hood and Sherwood Forest and the rest of it. Is the sonata inspired by anything?
No. I think this one is more of a pure, just a violin sonata allegro form. I can tell you that the last movement is it has, it draws on a lot of the traditions that you associate with big romantic violin sonata writing. Mm-hmm. So, you've got the sonata allegro first movement really well developed, very expressive. Second movement is absolutely gorgeous. She excels at, she has such a great harmonic sense. Mm. Her sense of harmony is so beautiful.
Yeah. And accessible.
Well, absolutely accessible, yeah. And she would say, that she does write for the performer. Whenever she is asked this question, what was inspiring you, 100% of the time she says, I like to know who I'm writing for. Mm. And I like to know what their personality, what the quality of their sound, what are their strengths. And nobody knows my playing better than Betsy. Mm-hmm. Her name is Betsy, yes. My mom. And so, yeah, I would say that, I know it sounds so immodest, but I do think that all the violin music that you will hear played of my mother's was written with me in mind, and she had my sound in her head. So it's, Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. I mean, that's a pretty cool thing to be able to say. Like, somebody's channeling your voice and putting it to paper with her skills
and her talent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this has been a real thrill to talk to you. I'm going to wrap up the conversation by asking what you're looking forward to most over the next couple days as Rosamunde continues.
The rehearsals, we're having so much fun. The rehearsals are a little bit too much fun right now. I think we got to sometimes get down to business because there's too much fooling around, too much laughing.
Can't have that.
Oh, you can't have that. Well, she and Elation, we're here for once with enough time to rehearse, to actually, put the time in. Mm-hmm. So this is fantastic, but you do start to feel like we got time. Let's tell another story. But the kids too. I love the teaching. I enjoy the teaching, but it's a particularly fun group of musicians who are here right now playing. So yeah, we're having a blast.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Erika, this has been a real thrill for me to talk to you. All the best tomorrow night and with the rest of the Rosamunde Academy. Thanks so much for taking the time to stop by and talk to me
thanks
today.
for having me. It's great.